Hi guys and welcome to Fandom Newbie. My name is Shruti and today I'm going to be talking about my favorite monsoon reads this year. So when it's raining and storming outside and when it's like really dark and grey, one of my favorite things to do is curl up in a blanket and read. So I have a bunch of books that I want to recommend to you guys. So yeah, let's just get started. The first book that I want to talk about is Unaccustomed Earth by Jhumpa Lahiri. Now, if you guys find Jhumpa Lahiri's name very familiar, it's because she's the author of The Namesake, which is one of her most famous books. This book is a collection of short stories, and honestly it's not very different from Namesake because each of the short stories in this book is about Indian immigrant, or rather like Bengali Indian immigrant families in the US. Now personally for me, I found these stories very relatable because if you guys don't know, I grew up in the US actually. So my parents, like my dad got a job in the US in the 90s and my mom and I moved along with him. So a lot of the books were like very relatable to me in that sense, because even though this book is like set in the 70s, like all the stories are set in the 70s, the instances and the situations that these characters go through was very familiar to me. But even if you are someone who's not grown up in the US and doesn't have those memories, I feel this book can still be very interesting because Jhumpa Lahiri's writing, like her way of storytelling is so immersive and it's so vivid, and she has a very deep, meaningful way of writing. Such that like even in the short amount of time that you spend with these characters, you still feel like you know them really well and their stories somehow seem complete. So it's just beautiful the way she crafts stories and the way she tells them. So just for that, I would really recommend this book. The next book that I want to talk about is Aristotle and Dante Discover the Secrets of the Universe by Benjamin Alire Science. So this book is basically about Aristotle, who is our main character. He's a 15-year-old boy and he actually likes to call himself Ari. Now, like many 15-year-old boys, he's really struggling with a lot of things, mainly puberty. Like he's struggling with his identity, he's struggling with the relationship that he has with his parents, and also he's struggling to come to terms with what has happened to his brother. So his older brother actually is in prison, and because of that nobody in the family like really talks about him, and he finds that hard to come to terms with. In the midst of all this like confusion that is going on in his mind, he meets another young boy named Dante and they become the best of friends. And basically it's about how Aristotle and Dante both kind of help each other in discovering themselves, discovering their identities, and just growing up. And while this plot might not sound very interesting, it's just the way that it's written again is so beautiful. So Benjamin Alire Science is also a poet, and the way he's written this book is kind of like a poem. His writing style is like in the form of very short sentences. Like the sentences probably have like 4 or 5 words in them. And they're very short, they're very concise, and they're very crisp. So reading this book actually becomes very easy because of that, because the sentence structure is so short, it's so concise, and it just like, you finish the book like that because of the way it's written. But also because of the way it's written, it kind of has a very poetic flow and feel to it, which I thought was very interesting. The next book is The Perfect World of Mewako Sumida by Clarissa Ganoman. So this book is also a contemporary fiction. It's about this girl, Mewako Sumida, who has sadly committed suicide. And it's basically about how this suicide affects 3 people in her life. Her kind of like, not really boyfriend, but this guy who is in love with her, that guy's sister, and her best friend. And basically it's these 3 characters coming to terms with her suicide and also trying to figure out why Mewako would take this step, because in their eyes she seemed like this perfect girl who was quite happy and had a perfect life. So they're also trying to come to terms with why she would have taken this step. Now again, the plot in this book is not the like highlight. It's the characters. Each of these characters bring a different perspective to the story, and they have a different like perspective of Mewako. And I thought that was the thing that was the most interesting, how these 3 people who knew her so well all had a different view of who Mewako was. And I think that's what I really like took away from this book, and that's why I felt so connected to this book, is that someone's mental health, someone's mental state, and someone's like inner life is something that you will never know. Like, even if you are best friends with someone, what someone is really struggling with internally might be something that you just don't know. And in this world of social media where so many people put a lot of their life out there and just like post pictures, videos, anything, I feel it's very easy for us just to judge how this person's life might be. Like, we might judge that, oh my god, this person has such an amazing life, they seem to be so happy all the time, etc. But maybe on the inside they're really struggling with some really dark demons, and we would never know. So I think the point that I'm trying to make here is that never assume someone's mental health, never assume that someone is happy or that someone is depressed or someone is whatever. Like, be more sensitive about that, and just, I guess, if you see someone struggling, if you see someone spiraling, then reach out and try to be a comfort in their life and someone who they can probably talk to and reach out to, rather than assuming, judging people for what they're feeling, and yeah, making them feel even more like outsiders. Apart from that, the writing in this book is also amazing, and there are also some aspects of magical realism which I thought were really cool. So yeah, I highly recommend this book as well. The next books are actually from a series, and it is the Truly Devious series by Maureen Johnson. Now, I read the first book, Truly Devious, as a part of my 24-hour readathon, which I had done like a while ago. So if you guys want to check out that video, I'll link it up here. The other two books in this series are The Vanishing Stair and The Hand on the Wall. Now, this series is basically a mystery series. It follows two timelines, one that is set in 1936 and one that is set in present day. And the setting is Ellingham Academy, a school which is for like geniuses. Now, Ellingham Academy was set up by Albert Ellingham, who was like a businessman, rich tycoon in the 1930s. And in the first year that Ellingham Academy was set up in 1936, Albert Ellingham's wife and daughter were kidnapped, and another student from the school disappeared. Now, a few days later, Albert Ellingham's wife ended up dead, and they also found that the student who had disappeared had died. And the only clue in this mystery was this letter that was left to Albert Ellingham, which was signed by a group, or maybe it was a singular person, they didn't know at the time, named Truly Devious. Now, from 1936 till present day, the mystery of who Truly Devious was and why these people were kidnapped, who kidnapped them, who murdered them, nothing was solved. So in present day, we have our main character Stevie, who is now going to attend Ellingham Academy, and basically her aim in life is to solve these Ellingham murders. What I really loved about Stevie was how she was like a complete mystery nerd. Like, she loved Sherlock Holmes, she loved Poirot. A lot of what she did in her life was based around like mysteries. I also was like that when I was growing up. Like, when I was 10 or 11 years old, I used to love mysteries, and I used to also pretend like mysteries are happening around me and try to solve them, which is what Stevie also kind of does, and I really resonated with that. Now, coming back to the story, basically Stevie, who is a mystery nerd, has come to Ellingham Academy to try to solve these murders. But now some weird things start happening even in present day times, and Stevie believes that these two cases are linked. And the way both these mysteries are kind of interwoven was so good, and also just jumping back and forth between the two timelines and like what's happening in 1936 versus what's happening in present day was so like fast-paced and amazing that like I flew through these books. Definitely very quick reads and a very intriguing mystery, and characters who you kind of like fall in love with at the end of the series. So yeah, highly recommend this series. So yeah, that was my video for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Leave a comment down below letting me know the kind of books that you love to read on a rainy day, because I would love to hear your recommendations. And of course, do subscribe to my channel for more book related videos. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.